Good day, all you lovely, lovely nerds. Welcome to the Multiverse of Entertainment podcast. This is the podcast where we dive into the multiverse of TV and movies and bring you the very best, the worst, and the ugliest movies of all time. My name is James. Welcome in. I do appreciate it. Thank you for coming in today. We are episode 19, and this week we are talking about one of the few hidden gems of 90s movies, kids' movies at least anyway. We're talking about The Pagemaster from 1994. My buddy Sassy Clarence is here with me to join me on this episode this week. So I'm not running solo, but I would like to say we're creeping on 20 episodes. It's been almost 20 weeks of this epic journey. Thank you very much for joining me. I know I say this every week, but it's been really, really good fun, and I'm loving every second of it. So thank you for listening. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. Many more episodes coming, and it's going to be epic. Speaking of epic, we have some breaking news. And the rumor is that Vanessa Kirby and Jessica Quinn are lined up to play Susie and Johnny Storm in the new adaptation of the Fantastic Four film for the MCU coming out in Phase 6 in a couple of years' time. If the rumors are true, then Kirby, who was in Mission Impossible Fallout, and Quinn, who played Eddie Munson in Stranger Things, this will be a massive good thing for the Fantastic Four film, and I will be ready to watch it if the rumors are to be believed. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll happen, and maybe this movie will be the better one of all the Fantastic Four films to come out previously. That is your news. And that was the multiversal news. Thank you very much for joining me. Right, let's get into the episode. You've all waited long enough. This is a pretty hefty episode, so I don't want to waste any time. We are talking about The Pagemaster, which originally released November 1994. Enjoy this episode. Let's go. Episode 19 is here. We're talking The Pagemaster, and I don't know why, but it seems like all these nostalgic movies and TV shows, we rope this guy in every time. My buddy Aaron, aka Sassy Bear Clarence, is in the house. Where is he? Round of applause.
Hello, lovelies.
Hey, that's a one-man clap. There you go. I'm here all week. I'm adding new things every day. How you doing, bro? We haven't spoken properly since we did the double episode 15 and 16.
It's definitely been a while.
It's been a while. What's been going on, dude?
Well, I think since when we last talked, a lot has gone on. So I recently did a Pride show for WAW.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that on Instagram. Yeah, that was sick, man.
Oh yeah, it was a fun little match, freeway hardcore match with Keegan, who I wrestled before at PCW.
Yep.
And Jason Joshua. What was quite hilarious was Jason Joshua's always used being like the powerhouse, the big powerhouse in like his matches. But then when he basically came in and saw the size of me and Keegan, he's like, "Fuck, I'm actually the smallest guy in this match." Bless him. But yeah, at that, I've got, funny enough, another show coming up in Great Yarmouth tomorrow for DOA, so I'm looking forward to that.
Shout out to the DOA boys there. I haven't seen them for a while. And then you've got one at Fallen Star. Are you at Fallen Star on the? So, you're not at Fallen Star tomorrow, are you? Because you're doing DOA, right?
Well, no, I'm at DOA, so I wouldn't be able to make it Falling Star. But I am at Falling Star on the 26th of August in Woolsoken.
Oh, yes.
So I'll definitely be there.
Dude, I'll be honest here. I haven't had a chance to go to come up for the wrestling at all.
Aw.
Like in the world of wrestling, kayfabe wise, I am in the office sorting everything out. So I don't need to be there because doing that commissioner role, I just don't need to be there all the time.
Mm,
Uh, but on the real life side of things, I'm just being hammered with work right now.
understandable.
And funny enough, I'm having my hours reduced soon, so hopefully I'll go back to 37.5 hours by October, so it should free me up quite a bit then
That's
to
good.
do a lot more stuff. Yeah, for like I like I'm not gonna go too much in my job, but I love my job. I think it's what what I do for work, and it's really really good. But it's so much. It takes so much out of you
Hmm.
that 45 hours for me is like it was good to start off with, but it's too much now. So I need to
Yeah.
bring it back a bit and have a little bit more better balance of life because I think that's really really fun to have
Mm.
work life and outside life as well. And plus, outside life is picking up right now, especially with like
Oh,
conventions and wrestling and all that stuff coming out.
oh
And I
yeah.
want to go watch more movies as well, especially getting ready for like the Marvels in November. So I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait. So, do you know how many people don't know about this movie that we're talking about today? The
I'd imagine that.
Pagemaster.
I'd imagine there'd be a percentage of people that have not a clue about this movie.
No, because every time, like, people ask me, like, what are you talking about this week's episode? And I said, The Pagemaster. And everyone just looks at me stupid, just going, what's that? And I'm like, you don't know what the Pagemaster is? It's probably one of the most underrated uh live action slash
Animated.
films of all time. I mean, the movie is literally an hour and 15 minutes long. Doesn't take most of your time.
Mm.
My God, this movie was so good. Like, I personally watched it this morning. I couldn't find it on It's not anywhere.
Nah.
Okay, it's not on Amazon Prime. It's not on Disney Plus. It's not even
Nope.
on Netflix. It's nowhere. So I kind of went on a naughty site, but anyway, not that kind of naughty site.
No.
Like no, none of that. Just like a watch movies online thing, and
Yeah,
I
I guess
found
I
it
was
this
kind of the
morning.
same as well, actually. Because I remember this movie as a kid. I watched it yesterday, pretty much on the same method that you did. Because again, fucking nowhere to be found
Mm.
apart from just reviews from other people on YouTube, and that's literally fucking it.
Yeah, I mean, don't. I fell into this trap earlier. Don't search the Pagemaster on YouTube because you'll end up on these little YouTube saying, "No, full full movie on here," and
Oh
it's
yeah, and
literally
then it's
like
just a blank screen, and then
screen.
go to this go. It's like go to this link. It's like, but you got to pay to sign up, so it's not exactly
Yeah,
free.
no, I ain't doing that. And even trying to find it, you can find it on Blu-ray. But trying to find the DVD version within the UK is very, very tough.
Huh,
Which is weird
very.
because the ones that I'm getting are like Spanish, French, regular Blu-ray, and even I don't know from the US as well or Canada. And I'm just looking at it going, why is that? Why is this movie such hard? It's so hard to find in the UK. I'm literally gonna like scrape like HMV somewhere one day and just
Yeah,
try and find this movie on DVD.
yeah. I'm confused as well because obviously back in like the 90s and even like the early 2000s, it was fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And then now it's just, well, where the fuck is it?
I
Like,
know. Like
oh.
if you weren't born in the 90s, if you were born in the 90s, you would have come across this film at some point. There's no
Oh yeah,
way that like you and I and probably my brother and sister probably weren't the only kids to watch this film growing up in the 90s.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember we had like a VHS of this back then, and that's how I kind of discovered the Pagemaster.
Yeah, I don't know how I discovered it. I think my mum and my dad just bought it when we were kids, and we just watched it one day, and we were like, "I love this movie. It's so good." So the plot. We'll talk about the story. A brief overview of this movie. The Pagemaster is a 1994 American live action / animated fantasy adventure film, starring the very young and very talented and underrated actor of Macaulay Culkin, the legendary Christopher Lloyd, the wonderful Whoopi Goldberg, the knight himself, Sir Patrick Stewart, and we also have, which I didn't know this, Leonard Nimoy is in this movie.
Yeah.
I did not, for the life of me, I did not know he was in this film.
And we also got Frank Welker in this as well.
Frank Welker's in this as well. And the voice of Winnie the Pooh, Jim Cummings, is in this as well. So there's a lot of talented actors in this movie. You know, this film was produced by Turner Pictures, Hanna-Barbera. So if anyone who knows Turner Pictures is, Ted Turner, legend. Shout out to WCW. Boom. Released by 20th Century Fox on November 23rd, 1994. I originally thought this was 96, but it's 94, so I was 2 years out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Fox was bought out by Disney, which makes it even stranger it's not on Disney Plus.
Well, this is the thing. But then again,
maybe it's to do with Turner. I don't know.
Maybe it could be with Turner, so they maybe have to buy Turner out. I think again.
Probably a licensing thing with Turner or some shit.
Probably.
I think that's the only thing I can think of.
Yo, Ted, if you're listening to this, give us what we want. Give us the Pagemaster now. So Culkin stars as a timid boy who uses statistics. This is easy for me to say.
Statistics.
Two of us are like trying to say it. Statistics as an excuse to avoid anything he finds uncomfortable in life. But
sounds like the internet in this day and age.
Yeah, it sounds like the world these days, doesn't it? But after an irregular undertaking of an errand of his father, which, by the way, I've got a real good comment about that. He gets caught in a storm, which forces him to seek refuge in a library. He finds himself trapped inside the library, where he must battle his way through literal classics coming to life if he is to find his way home. The film was written...
I will say, I've got a couple of notes. Like, I love how it's like he's on his way to the library, and it just seems like God hates him so much he's trying to kill the poor boy. Like fucking storms and all shit going after this poor little lad.
This is like a kid's film, but it's quite morbid at the same time.
There are some fairly dark moments of like a storm trying to kill a child. And then when he goes into the library, that's when we first see Christopher Lloyd in one of two roles in this movie, just to point that out. But yeah, this is the first role he is, where he's a librarian. It's just the way that he approaches the boy, where I'm just like, I've got the stranger danger butter on standby. He's just like, oh, there's a little boy. Oh, are you looking for adventure?
Yeah, it was a questionable look, wasn't it? He just sneaks up on him.
It got even more creepy, where it's just like, horror. You want horror, boy? It was just like, okay, Chris, you're a great actor, but
yeah, it was like he's this. He comes across as like this creepy old librarian, and then when Macaulay Culkin doesn't want a book, he just wants a phone. He's like, oh, okay. Like it was like a show for him.
Yeah,
like, as a librarian, it's like I put it on a show, but then he just goes, oh, okay, you just want a phone. Well, I feel like the genie in Aladdin. Well, I feel sheepish, and he directs him down to the phone, and this is the tagline of the entire film: "Look for the exit." And I don't care who you are, if you've watched this movie, all right, and you've seen that quote, and you go to any building in the world, you always turn around and go, "Where's the exit?" And then you point up, "It's there." It's like, let's go. I love it. It's so good. That could make such a TikTok vibe, TikTok video. Just literally going, "There's the exit. Here's the exit. It's right there. The exit. What's that over there? Is it a bird or a plane? No, it's the exit." You know, something silly like that. See, I've said that now. Somebody's gonna do it. Damn.
I'm sure someone's gonna do it.
There's my million view TikTok gone, isn't it? Yeah. So he goes, and then he ends up. Where does he end up? He ends up in the rotunda of the building. Yeah, he ends up in the rotunda of the building, and then he's staring up at the pictures with like,
like the Pagemaster and all that jazz.
Yeah, and it's the foreshadowing, and then for some reason he just like gets creeped out and then just slips on a puddle, which is quite ironic.
He slips on a puddle, and then the painting on the ceiling starts to melt.
Yeah, and
then it just turns into like this CGI rainbow tidal wave that just
with
goes
a dragon on it.
Yeah, literally with a dragon on it.
And in my mind, watching that, I went, "Oh, that CGI hasn't aged really well."
Yeah, like,
it's good. It's good CGI compared to what we've seen previously. But
yes.
But I was kind of like, "Ooh, you could tell it's CGI."
Obviously, not just any CGI, but 90 CGI.
90 CGI, which these days is quite retro these days.
Yeah.
Compared to now.
So, funny enough, on the subject of CGI, Toy Story was actually the first movie to utilize CGI.
It was, yes. Oh, dude.
Crazy to think.
2 of the episodes I'm much looking forward to since thinking about this movie is Toy Story and Star Trek 3, The Search of Spock. I cannot wait to talk about that one. Yeah. Just because of Christopher Lloyd in that film, but that's another day.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great.
So the boy's name is Rich Tyler, right? The boy is like running through like each library from this tidal wave of CGI death, but then ends up coming from all corners of the room, which he ends up in a different rotunda, and then it was just like this pool of paint, which I think Disney just kind of went, "Fucking here you go." If it was Disney, they were just gone, how do we make this like pool effect? Like, I don't know.
I'm sure there's ways.
Yeah, I was going to use a different term, but I thought no, I better not. Just like this tidal wave splashed all together, and all of a sudden, I like how he points out, "I'm now a cartoon."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the Pagemaster comes out of nowhere, like a Gandalf creepy looking guy with satin on top of his staff for some reason. Why satin on top? It's not satin, but it looks like satin on top of his staff.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why he's got, of all planets, Saturn on the staff. That is so bizarre.
Yeah, and then he's like, the boy is like, "I'm a cartoon," and the guy is like, the Pagemaster goes, "You are illustration," and the boy's like, "Who are you?" "I am the Pagemaster, keeper of the books, guardian of every word." I'm like, "Oh, cool, right, another creepy old guy."
Ironically voiced by Christopher Lee.
Ironically by Christopher Lee. Christopher Lloyd, yeah, Christopher Lloyd, what a legend. No, he does really well in it, and then
he does.
And then he says, in order for him to get back to where he was, he has to go through. He has to find 3 types of books: horror, adventure, and fantasy. And he goes off on this like weird adventure. This all happens in the library, by the way.
Yeah.
So I reckon any 90s kids watching this back in the day thought, "Should we go to the library and see if this will actually happen?" I know. I'm one of them. I was one of those influential kids that was like, "Can we go and see if this actually works in the library?" I was a underprivileged child back in the day. I had no.
I can understand that the feeling with the kid, but then there's a part of me that's thinking a bit darkly about this is what if it's just a kid just hallucinating in the library where he's thinking all this is happening, but it's not, and everyone just thinks he's fucking nuts.
Yeah. Can you imagine just running around, you're just in the library minding your own business, this kid
And he's
just
just
goes,
talking to the books.
yeah,
like
this kid, he's actually carrying the books. Come on, guys, let's get to the exit. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Get out, go. Who's this guy? I'll have whatever he's having. Do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ.
And I can imagine like the fucking person in charge of the library is just like, shh, it's a fucking library. And the kid's just going, no.
I know. What would you rather do? Pretend to be in the Pagemaster or play a game of bogeys?
Tough
Tough question, right?
Yeah.
Me personally, I'd do the Pagemaster and then...
Yeah, I was leaning more to that, if I'm honest, but that's just probably me.
Just like, where's the exit? Bogeys. Oh, play at the same time. Oh, brilliant.
Oh, jeez.
To all the parents out there watching this, sorry about this, and I've just ruined your childhood or your life. So your kids are not going to misbehave in those libraries anymore.
Mm.
So he's on this. So he goes off. He gets whisked off on this this library car, a trolley.
Yeah, I was going to say it looked more like a trolley to me. I think.
Yeah, and then he hits a wall, as we all, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, this is not good." Dusts himself off, and literally a sword comes up between his legs. And I thought, "Whoa, come on!" You know, and this book is just coming to life, and you realize, "Oh, wait, this is adventure." Voiced by my favorite actor of all time, Sir Patrick Stewart. We have to see the Sir because he's a knight now these days. Get it right, everybody.
Fantastic job as always.
Fantastic job as always. It's quite ironic as well because I think he did this movie come out just after, either just before or after. After the Star Trek 7 came out.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, because he's so good, talented of an actor. You couldn't tell it was Patrick Stewart until like later on who it was, you know?
Yeah.
And Jesus. So funny, so hilarious.
He's having the time of his life with this role.
Oh yeah, you could tell. He's like this book who's trying to be a pirate, but he's failing badly. And then realizes the boy's got a library card. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were as a customer." You know, suddenly goes Scottish for some reason.
I could also say this role as adventure a lot more dignified than the poop emoji in the Emoji Movie.
Oh, God. I'm not even gonna. I haven't seen that, and I saw the advert for that, and I did laugh at it, but I'm curious to watch it to see how bad it is.
I mean, I've seen it. It's pretty bad.
No, wait till the sausage party episode. Okay. That film was good up until a certain point, which freaked me the fuck out. But that's for another episode. And Adventure then is like, we have to climb this mast. The boy goes, that's not a mast, that's a ladder. It's like, no shit, just fucking climb it, kid. And then he says he doesn't like heights, and Adventure's like, oh, I can fix that. Here you go, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And the squid opens the book, and this big fucking squid comes out of nowhere. And starts filling up the room. We think, well, this turned really ugly really quick, didn't it? This kid's going to get eaten by a fucking...
The Kraken, really?
Yeah, by the Kraken. And then they panic. The lad just goes here, there, and everywhere. Adventure tells him to jump, boy, it's your only chance. Grabs the books, doesn't get a grip, grabs all the books on the shelf, falls down, and then just hovers. And then he realizes he's holding on to another book that comes to life, and she's like so pissed because she's like grabbed it by the mouth, can't breathe. Turns out it's fantasy played by the wonderful Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh.
You know? So you've got, in my head already, you've got 2 Star Trek actors in this already. And for me, it's like winning, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then she's like pissed, and then she becomes this like, I'm fantasy. Like this little, like if somebody heard a bang, then that was my microphone being hit. Just like, she's telling him, I could do this, I could do that. And they end up then in this, there's you could tell the acting chemistry between Sir Patrick Stewart and Whoopi Goldberg because of the time through Star Trek and how well they work together, right?
Yeah.
It's evident. And it's comedy gold. It's really, really funny. And they both then, all three of them end up in the horror section. Which then they come up to this big mansion.
Yeah.
Where they ring the bell and then horror falls down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I swear to God that horror is played by the same guy who does it's Ed. So Frank
Welker is the one that voices horror.
Yes.
Who also was in Star Trek 3, The Search of Spock.
Was he?
Yep. Frank Welker was in that movie.
Fuck off.
No, genuinely, he was in that movie.
Who the hell was he playing? I'm sorry. No, I'm looking at. I'm trying to look for it now, and I don't want to because I want to concentrate on this movie. But now my fucking interest now, and I'm like, who the fuck did he play in that film? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it doesn't say. Fuck it. I'll look for it later. But Jesus, is he in Star Trek 3?
The Search of Spock, yeah, he was.
Wow.
Oh wait.
Okay.
Oh wait. So apparently he does the role of Spock's screams.
Oh.
That's literally what I've just noticed in the filmography of Frank Welker.
Oh, right, okay.
He apparently did the voice for Spock's scream.
Brilliant.
I guess Leonard Nimoy couldn't scream, so they're just like, get someone else in.
Oh, shit. And he played he voiced characters from the original Transformers animated series as well.
Oh, yeah. Because
Megatron,
Soundwave,
Skywarp, Mixmaster.
Oh, yeah.
And then he was in... he was in Transformers as Soundwave and Ravage as well.
Oh, and I've also noticed he also does the voice effects for Godzilla in the 1998 movie.
What?
Yeah. Frank Welker did the voice for the noises for Godzilla, and he also did the noises for the Anaconda in the movie Anaconda, which stars Angelina Jolie's dad, Ice Cube, and Jennifer Lopez.
This is why I'm so happy now I made a podcast about movies and TV shows like this, because I didn't know half. I consider myself a nerd, but I'm now making myself a bigger nerd, making everybody else a bigger nerd. Embrace the nerdiness, people. Do it. This is what this show is all about. Thank God for bringing that to attention, buddy. I appreciate that.
God, he also did the voice for the little hummingbird in Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Flit, I think its name was.
Flit or Flick, I think. Yeah.
Flit. Yeah, apparently did the voice for the hummingbird for that. This guy gets around.
I know. He did the sound effects as well for the dragon and Moby Dick in this film as well.
Yeah, he did.
And his inspiration for the horror character was literally Igor.
Oh yeah, there was definitely there was definitely some Igor vibe with horror, especially where he's like proper hunchbacked and everything, even though he's a book.
Yeah, and then what was it? Then they go into this building, and this guy comes out of nowhere with a lantern, who turns out to be Dr. Jekyll, the mad scientist. Voiced by
Leonard Nimoy.
And I didn't even know that, right? I think when I was a kid, I'm so oblivious by voice actors that I don't realize. But when I'm older now, I'm like, holy shit. Especially these movies that I haven't watched in like 20 odd years. And I listen to it and I'm like, holy shit, he's actually in this film?
And the Cosmic Ballet goes on.
And the Cosmic Ballet goes on. And I'm like, by the end of that scene when he turns into Mr. Hyde, which is quite terrifying for a kids
Oh yeah.
movie, it's very terrifying. By the end of it, I literally just went. I stopped there. And I just went, fascinating. Don't know why. I was like, I was fascinated. It was just so fucking. If you're a Star Trek fan, you get that joke. But
Oh yeah.
oh, dude, the horror. It was like, this is horror. This is actually horror. And don't they go through this? They go through this. The books are trying to get Richie to be brave, but he's like, nah, I'm not doing fuck all. You're on your own.
Oh yeah, because
Because Horror gets trapped by the chandelier and he's like being dragged down. Could potentially get killed.
Yeah, by Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, and then Fantasy is like, oh fuck you, I'll do it myself. Basically,
I mean, it's a fairy themed book. Fairies are quite magical in what they can do. So
yeah,
makes sense.
So she saves Horror, and then they go off. Not downstairs. Originally downstairs, but they're like, no, not downstairs, not downstairs. Upstairs. And they go upstairs. They go through the ghost stories, and then they end up somewhere else then. Oh, they end up in the adventure section then, which made Adventure very happy.
Oh, yeah.
Which made Adventure very, very happy. The funny scene in this is where Adventure's trying to be all hard and pirate-like, and then accidentally pokes a hole with his
his peg
leg, and Horror is absolutely shitting himself.
Oh,
and they haven't set off yet. And Richie just puts like a napkin or a handkerchief down the hole to stop it, and he just goes, "Thank you." That's comedy gold. That's just like he's like a lost. He's like a child. Bless him.
Yeah, he
Horror.
is a bit.
You know, it's all equally balanced. Like
there is literally this one bit of like dialogue that does make me chuckle a bit. Is literally when I think they just arrive in like the adventure section and they're about to go out to sea, and I think he literally stands tall somewhere and he's just like, can you smell it, lads?
Yeah.
Leave it in. And then there's a part where it's just like, what if you just then said afterwards, I farted, give it a good whiff, lads.
I'm sure that is in the blooper reel somewhere. I'm pretty sure of it. Because like they go off on this. They go off then, don't they? To
like an old rowing boat into the
on an old rowing boat. And then what happens then? He ends up.
They end up in the middle of the sea, and then that's when we then discover. What's the character's
Captain
name?
Ahab?
That's the one, Captain Ahab, which I do believe is voiced. I'm trying to figure the fucking. Oh, George Hearn. That's the guy.
George Hearn. George Hearn is a famous voice actor. Looking at his credentials now, like film, he hasn't been in that many films, which is quite weird because he's got I'm pretty sure he's got more than that. But like he's got, the Pagemaster, All Dogs Go to Heaven 2, The Devil's Own, Barney's Great Adventure, which is what.
So he was Dr. Beryl in Star Trek The Next Generation,
but I can't remember who Dr. Beryl was. I will look back on that when that season comes out. Which episode? First Contact. Oh God, I don't know which season that is. I'll look it up somewhere. L.A. Law, Bird She Wrote. He was in Cheers.
Yeah.
At one point, Captain Planet and the Planeteers. But mostly he was on stage. He was on stage more than anything.
Yeah, I think he's got more stage credits than TV.
But I'm sure he's been in. I've heard him in so many things as my childhood because his voice is quite recognizable.
Yeah.
And then which is quite ironic for me. All right, with this Captain Ahab thing. I'm pretty sure a few years before this, either the early 90s or the mid 90s, Sir Patrick Stewart played Ahab in a B-rated movie of Moby Dick. Which, by the way, if anybody hasn't seen that yet, Go watch it. It is. Sir Patrick Stewart puts a performance of a lifetime. That should have had an Oscar,
Mm,
in my opinion. Why he hasn't won an Oscar yet, I have no
that's
idea.
insane.
It's crazy. I don't think he ever has won an Oscar. Let's go down to his. Let me find his awards and honors. Obviously, he's a sir and whatnot. No, he's never won an Oscar.
That's weird.
I know it's really weird. Patrick Stewart does share with Hugh Jackman the Guinness World Records the longest career in live action Marvel heroes
That's fucking amazing.
films. Yeah, which obviously he plays Professor X, and then
Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
yeah. So the question is, will he be in Deadpool 3 when that comes around? Let's find out, shall we?
I mean, the fact that we're finally seeing the yellow spandex in that fucking movie is insane.
Yeah.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah, we can't wait for that. So they go through the Ahab thing. There she blows, the whale, bang.
Which hilariously, the whale was also voiced by Frank Welker.
He's voicing everything in this film. Realistically, it's not Sir Patrick Stewart. It's actually Frank doing all the voices.
Like, literally, Frank Welker has, like, so many, like, voice credits of just, like, creatures, animals, and like I said, he was Spock's Scream in Star Trek 3.
Yeah.
Not Spock, but Spock's Scream for some reason. Is like, interesting. But yeah, apparently in this movie alone, he does the voice for the White Whale, Moby Dick, the Dragon, as well as, like, other creatures.
The what?
I'm not even...
The dragon, yeah.
So Frank Welker does the sound effects for the dragon. I don't know how the fuck this guy does it, but I'm fascinated to know.
I know
how on earth, like guys with that sort of like talent. It's just like, okay, I need to fucking see this like in action with you in the studio just to find out what the fuck you're doing.
Oh, it's nuts. And
it is. It's very nuts.
It's incredible. Looking back at it now, we were when it comes to TV and movies. We were really privileged with the types of films and movies we grew up with. Those cheesy 90s, early 2000 era films. And even now, looking back at them, it's like, my God, this is actually really, really good. So class. So they go off then. What happens then? They go into... Richie and Avenger think that Fantasy and Horror have been killed by the white whale, and then they get kidnapped by Long John Silver, who is voiced by the ever talented Jim Cummings. If you recognize that name, it's Winnie the Pooh.
He also voiced he's voiced Winnie the Pooh. He also voices Tigger. He's voiced Pete the Cat in like the Mickey Mouse cartoons and Goof Troop and vice versa.
Yeah.
He's got a load of different film credits. That fun little fact, actually, by Jim Cummings. Now that I bring it up. So, you know in the song Be Prepared in, like, the animated version of Lion King, which I know sounds fucking weird to say now, thanks, Disney.
It's the best version, by the way. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, but anyway, so... Jeremy Irons is the voice of Scar.
He is, yeah.
And he's doing a whole singing bit of Be Prepared.
Yes.
But after the bit where he says, you won't get a sniffle at me, apparently Jeremy Irons' voice went. And he couldn't finish off the song. So for the rest of the song, they actually got Jim Cummings to finish the rest of the song. And I remember just being amazed because at first as a kid,
really?
I never noticed it. Yeah. After the bit where he says, you won't get a sniff about me, Jim Cummings is the one finishing the rest of the song. And he does such a good fucking job in like hiding his voice to make it sound a bit more Jeremy Irons-ish. Wow. I think it's fucking nuts because Jim Cummings, he's one of those voice actors where I always have an ear out for his voice because of his range of fucking talents. And I knew right off the bat when I saw Long John Silver, I'm like, that's definitely Jim Cummings because he sounds a bit like Pete the Cat.
I never watched Pete the Cat, so I wouldn't have recognized it.
So you've heard of Goof Troop, right?
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Right. So Pete the Cat is like this big fat cat enemy of like Mickey's, Goofy's, and all that.
Okay, yeah.
He's quite a common one in a lot of the cartoons. He was an antagonist in Kingdom's Heart. He has, like I said, he was in Goof Troop, and a few other like Mickey cartoons as well. You'll spot him a mile off, and yeah, Jim Cummings is the voice for him.
Well, no, you learn something new every day, don't you?
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I want to see the behind the scenes footage of that happening. Where Jeremy Irons' voice goes.
Yeah, I'm very curious
sure
to know about that
there.
because literally when I found that out, I'm like, that's fucking incredible.
It's a mad world we live in.
But yeah, while they were like kidnapped by the pirates, like there's one scene I do remember even from as a kid is literally when there's like the three pirates that are like complaining about this map, where I think one of them was just saying, "Oh, it's something like that. It's in the middle by the waterfall," and then another one's like, "Oh no, it's east by some broccoli," and then fucking Long John Silver just grabs the map. He's just like, "You half-wits, it's east by a tree." Oh, it's west by a tree. Sorry.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's west by a tree, and then I just remember that just being so hilarious. How like holding the map in 3 different angles, and that's their sort of like what they're coming up with in their head with it, and it's just like okay.
And then a few years, and then what? A year after this, Tim Curry comes in and plays Long John Silver in the Muppets Treasure Island, and just goes,
a fantastic job, I will say.
Yeah.
Like
character review that.
The way he plays as Long John Silver is really fucking fascinating.
I've never seen it.
Oh, I recently saw it with a couple of friends, and like I said, Muppets Treasure Island, really good.
I
really
don't know
good.
when I'm reviewing that, but that's gonna be a long way off.
But honestly, like if you haven't seen Muppets Treasure Island, definitely give it a watch. It's a fun Muppets movie.
I already hear people now turn around going, "How is he not seeing this?" And I'm like, I just haven't. All right, I lost faith out of the Muppets after Christmas Carol. All right,
really?
Yeah, like after the Muppets Christmas Carol, I kind of went off the Muppets.
Oh,
yeah, I don't know why. It was just like. Yeah, the Muppets
not...
were fun. I think at that point in my life, I was starting to move on to something else.
Fair.
I don't know. I don't know what I was moving on to.
But
I can't remember.
I would honestly say Tim Curry as Long John Silver is definitely one of the big highlights of Muppets Treasure Island.
Oh.
I mean, it's Tim fucking Curry, for fuck's sake.
Note. Sass for Muppets. Got it. What is it? Oh, yeah. They find the treasure then, don't they? They find the treasure, and then all of a sudden, you hear Horror starting to sing to creep them up, but he fucks it up, and you hear Fantasy in the background. No, do this. Oh, yeah. And then starts singing it again.
I do like how like Fantasy is literally just like the one that's like got the shit together.
Yeah, she's like the glue. Ironically, she's the glue that holds the book. She's the glue that holds the pages together.
Yeah, pretty much.
But first book fucking joke in this on this fucking podcast. You're welcome. Take it. There won't be another one.
Speaking of book jokes, this movie was filled to the brim with book puns.
Oh, everywhere.
Yeah,
like any. Oh. Can you go back to like where they were going through the ghost story, right?
Yeah.
Before we carry on and finish. Did you notice they didn't pull out The Shining? Can you imagine if they pulled out The Shining in this movie?
Ooh, what the whole like here's
whoever. Like, do you know what I mean? That would have been creepy as hell.
I'm quite surprised they never did that with Mr. Hyde.
No, I know. Well, it was creepy enough as it was, right?
Well, I mean, it was like when he revealed himself, it was like Mr. Hyde, like close to the camera, like I'm like, fuck, okay.
Like, oh yeah, like that dog when he picks that book up and that dog just pops out of nowhere.
Oh, fucking Zool!
Yeah,
it looks like Zool from Ghostbusters. That's literally where my brain just went the minute I saw that. I'm like, oh fuck, it's Zool from Ghostbusters.
Oh, dude. I'll tell you what, I can't wait for that. Cannot wait.
Oh, that's good. There's actually, I'll obviously mention this like outside of the episode, but there was actually a little bit more details about Ghostbusters that I found out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so apparently it was going to be called something else, and it was going to have a completely different cast. But
yeah, what was it? It was like Ghost Breakers or something like that?
either like that or Ghost Smashers, I think.
Ghost Smashers. That's what the original
Yeah, so
movie
Ghost
was called,
Smashers was what it was originally going to be called, and there was Eddie Murphy was originally pegged in to be Winston.
Yes, I remember.
Who's the guy that was in the Blue Brothers? Not Dan Aykroyd, but the other one.
I'm
trying to remember his name.
his name is.
Oh, that was it. John Belushi. So John Belushi was originally casted. I want to say he was casted as Bill Murray's character, Venkman.
He was,
in
yes.
In the original cast, it was John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
But
Can
then,
you imagine?
Yeah, that's a hell of a cast right there.
That would have been in an alternate reality or an alternate universe. That would have been insane. A great film. I mean, Ghostbusters is a great film as it is.
Oh yeah,
but Jesus, can you imagine if they had that?
Man, that would be impressive. But then John Belushi's passing pushed back a lot of the filming and all that. And then Eddie Murphy, I think he was doing. So what year would this been?
80.
I think he was in the middle of doing Beverly Hills Cop, so he couldn't.
I think.
Yeah, I think it was like I want to say it was Beverly Hills Cop that he was in the middle of doing, so he couldn't like free up time. To
he was. He was doing the Beverly Hills Cop thing.
That was it. Yeah. And then Ghost Smashers ended up becoming Ghostbusters. And then we brought in Bill Murray and Eddie Hudson, and then the rest was history.
Great cast choice in. I still haven't seen Ghostbusters Afterlife yet.
I mean, I've heard it's a lot better than that fucking Ghostbusters movie that they released with. For some reason,
the all female one.
Yeah,
I love that film. I can understand why a lot of people don't like it, but fuck me, I thought that was a fantastic film. And considering we've had for like 6 years up to that point, Chris Hemsworth playing Thor, and he actually and everyone's like, oh, he's this handsome, talented actor, and then he plays this character who's dull as fuck. I thought it was brilliant. Great casting choice. Having like the inklings of the Ghostbusters, which they did pay respects to, by the way. I know some people did say they didn't pay respect. Fuck that. They didn't have to bring in like the old actors in at any point during that movie. To like pay homage. And they had Egon's head on like a gold metal plinth, like a statue in respect as well. So I don't want to go on a tangent about it. I'm saving that for a good episode that's going to come. But I can understand why. But I think for some people, I think people are pissed at it because it's all women. I know some people are like, oh, it's an all women cast. Go fuck yourself. All right.
I'll be honest. That wasn't exactly my problem.
No, I didn't say it was your problem. I think I know what your problem is, but for some people have on social media these days have been like, oh, it's an all women cast. I'm like, go fuck yourself, but no, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that was like the common criticism towards that, but like I said, my deal with the 2016 Ghostbusters movie was just
I didn't think long ago. 2016.
Yeah, apparently that's when it came out. But so my problem with it is I felt the jokes weren't that well funny. Like the idea of Chris Hemsworth as like this assistant, I think is fucking hilarious.
It is so good.
So like that's the highlight for it. But I don't know. I felt like some of the jokes that the 4 Ghostbusters didn't exactly hit home. Also, I hate Melissa McCarthy.
It felt forced at times.
Yeah,
I thought I think they were trying to bring some of the Saturday Night Live stuff that they did on there. I like Melissa McCarthy. I think she's good. I think she's a really good. She can be a really good actress. hit and miss on a comedy scale, but I'm not a comedian, so I've got no right to criticize somebody's comedic tastes or anything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could take her in drips and drabs. She doesn't bother me.
Mm.
But like Christina Reagan, that is funny. She's hilarious. Who's the girl that's like the female version of Egon? The really nuts one.
The one with the blonde hair.
Yeah.
I
I don't want to.
I want to say it's Kate Berthold.
Yeah, she is fucking hilarious. If you ever seen any of her SNL skits, it's hilarious. Really, really good.
My issue wasn't with her in particular. Like I said, Melissa McCarthy, I don't particularly like as an actress. I never found her funny, and I felt a lot of her movies are quite shit.
Oh, I don't like Bridesmaids or like.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't
like Bridesmaids. I don't like Pitch Perfect. I fucking can't stand Pitch Perfect.
I also hate Identity Theft. There was one she did with Sandra Bullock I never liked.
I've never seen that one. That one piqued my interest.
Like, I kind of felt bad for Sandra Bullock in that movie because I know Sandra Bullock can be really fucking good, but
she's funny.
It just depends on who the fuck you tag with. Anyway, back to Pagemaster.
Yeah, if somebody texts in or messages in saying, "Oh, you don't like women," go fuck yourself. All right.
No.
If you think women don't like me, go on my TikTok. Right. Anyway, back to the Pagemaster.
I don't know what happened there. We just went on a weird tirade there, but anyway, Pagemaster.
Something triggered Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters.
That might have been what it was, but anyway, so
they fight. So they
affect the pirates.
They affected the pirates, and then they're fighting each other all over the place. They beat all the pirates, and then they don't scare off John Silver, but the kid just picks up the sword, and John Silver's like, maybe not, and then starts rowing away, and then just starts singing a bottle of rum, and then that's it. And then
I don't fancy the lawsuit. So.
No, exactly. And then they end up in the fantasy section straight after that, where it goes off onto this tangent, like music video, something like that.
Oh yeah, there's a musical section with like fairies, and I think Humpty Dumpty falls off and dies. Or something.
Dies, yeah. When they say that no one dies in animated, no, Humpty Dumpty always dies, regardless of what format.
I mean, he's an egg. Eggs are fragile fucking things.
Yeah.
Unless it's an ostrich egg, but that's besides the point.
The question is, you got to ask yourself: was it scrambled or sunny side up? All
it's making me think of is that Frankie Boyle joke where he's like, "I'd like an egg roll, scrambled, not boiled."
Brilliant.
But yeah, so we have the musical section with a load of like fairies, fireflies, and Humpty Dumpty dying.
And then they end up at this. What is it? They end up at this castle.
Yeah, it's like a castle at the top of this. And
again, on top of the cliff, and then all of a sudden he goes, "There it is, the exit!" And then starts running to it, and then realizes, "Oh, we have to climb all this." Mind you, little do they know that Adventure is inside this cave, finds his sword randomly, which we all didn't know he lost, and then he hits this rock, and then suddenly wakes up a fucking dragon, which is very Dungeons and Dragons esque.
And and the sound effects are also provided by Frank Welker. This guy gets around.
YouTube shorts. Frank Wilmer. Fucking hell.
Honestly, this guy's all over this fucking movie.
Yeah. And then and then there's just this battle for this against this dragon where the boy suddenly becomes brave.
Finds a corpse and
nicks a sword, helmet, and shield. And then slowly the body disintegrates, and he says nothing, looks at it dull, and then just goes, "Yes!" and then runs, and then gets eaten by a fucking dragon, which is
nom.
Yeah, literally is like, look out for its tail. Oh, we're like, oh fuck that, this guy's gonna get fucking burnt to a crisp. You know, it's literally I believe this scene is the precursor to what Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring would eventually become. This isn't an Elden Ring fucking level. This is okay. One hit kill.
Could you imagine if that was the end of the movie?
Yeah,
boy gets eaten. Roll credits.
Well, good night, everybody.
No, there's more.
Yeah, there's more. Then he ends up inside, which is a fucking library.
Well, he ends up in the stomach of the dragon, which just has like a bunch of books, and somehow he's not disintegrated by the acid or the heat.
Yeah, and then and all you hear then is the old man going, "Look in the books," and he's like, "Look in the books." Okay, yes, let's do that. Why didn't you do that at the start of the fucking movie?
Well, or just do that before panicking. Yeah. But anyway, so he eventually comes across the Jack and the Beanstalk book, opens the book, and just this ginormous beanstalk is just growing out of the fucking dragon's mouth.
Which is quite morbid again in itself, because it's like this is like technically animal cruelty, and this dragon is just like
it's gagging on this beanstalk,
literally like this beanstalk's erecting out of his mouth as we speak, and they pick up all the books and like, oh, we get on top of this cave, on top of the cliff. They get there, and then the dragon is like, no, fuck you, eats the beanstalk, and then that's it. And they're like, whoo, we win. And then pushes the metal doors, find the gateway home. And the books are all like, it's the Pagemaster, bows and grovels. And then the kids
just pick the fuck off.
Yeah, the kid's like, who the fuck do you think you are? Not that word, but like, who the fuck do you think you are? Do you know what I've been doing for the last hour and 15 minutes of this fucking movie?
I was dealing with a crazy fucking mad scientist. Then I was almost murdered by a whale, kidnapped by pirates, and a dragon almost fucking killed me. What the fuck is this?
Is this Elden Ring?
I like how the paper is just like, think, boy, or some shit like that. And
it was funny. And then they all go home. Then what is it? That he goes into the thing, and then his cartoon spirit goes into his body, and then all three books land around him. And then he wakes up. It's all been a dream. And all of a sudden, Christopher Lloyd just stands over and going, "Are you all right?" Just like,
oh, yeah.
Where were you for the last hour, 15 minutes, Christopher Lloyd?
Also, here's my question. What the fuck were you doing while this kid's passed out?
It's like
that's what I also think. It's like, considering the way you approached this boy to begin with, I dread to think what you planned to do with the boy while he was unconscious.
Yeah, he's just laying on the ground, and all of a sudden you just go, insert Evie book library scene from The Mummy here, and then Christopher Lloyd just goes, "Oh, see, that's just a funny fucking TikTok now." All right. Evie just collapses all the books. She goes, "Whoops," and then you see Christopher Lloyd over the top of her going, "Are you all right?" Why isn't that a meme?
Just basically like, "Are you all right?" Well, I was drowned by a rainbow water dragon turned into a cartoon. Fucking dealt with a mad scientist, a whale, and a fucking pirate and
a dragon with a beanstalk coming out of it with three talking books. It sounded strangely like Patrick Stewart.
And was basically put in his adventure by a tall, bearded man who weirdly looked a bit like you, but in cartoon form. So no, I'm not fucking all right.
Isn't me all right? When he's looking over the kid, right? Doesn't he look like Ivan Ooze from fucking Power Rangers movie? Isn't me, or the way his beard and his hair is styled, is like, wait, is this the precursor to Ivan Ooze, to the Power Rangers film?
Oh, fucking hell. Now I see it. I now see it now. All that's missing is just for a Megazord to kick him in the dick and fucking end it.
Kick him in the dick.
It's what happened in the fucking movie.
Yeah, that's fucking great.
Oh,
I could just see it though. I was like, "Are you all right? It's morphine time." Okay, Rangers. Yes. Do you know what I mean?
Why does it keep kicking me in the dick?
Fucking hell. That's so funny.
So yeah, it's like he gets the books. There was a bit of a back and forth where it's just like, oh, you can only take 2, but can I just take these 3 just this once? Okay,
Yeah.
just this once.
Just
Returns
this once.
home as if nothing fucking happens.
Yeah, returns home, and then the parents are the parents are worried sick because he's been out all day. He's like 12.
I gave you 1 errand, you didn't get back. What the fuck are you
Yeah, in a storm as well. So they're obviously worried, and they come back and they realize, oh wait, he's in this treehouse. What the hell? Because the dad through the movie has been like, I just want him to be, want him to be a normal boy, which is like typical 90s, like a nerd back in the day, where it's like statistics and
Isolation and
all that jazz. And the
Just
dad,
want him to be normal.
I feel sorry for the dad in this movie because he's tried so hard because he feels like he's a failure. This is like 5 minutes into the film where he's like, I'm such a failure as a father. And I'm like, fucking hell, this turned dark very quickly, didn't it? We don't know what's going on.
It's just like, a depressed dad.
Yeah.
Kids.
Yeah. And then was the next scene in the start of the film is where, right? This is why I think this was the kid is a morbid little fucker because he planned this from the start.
Wow.
The dad is like, bring a bag of nails up for me. Didn't want to run up, puts it in the bucket, rolls the bucket up after telling some statistics about being in a fucking treehouse, pulls the bucket up, and the dad goes, have you got that? He goes, Rich, and the kid just shits himself, lets the thing go, knocks the fucking bucket, hits his dad in the head, and he falls over the ladder onto the ground, out of the treehouse. Yeah. And I'm just looking at it going, that is fucking, he planned that from the start, the little fucker. Do you know what I mean? I'm just looking at it going, he's fucking planned this to prove a point. And the mum's like, oh, are you all right? Typical mum of the 90s. And the dad's like, yeah, I'm all right. Pride, he says he's all right, but his pride's been damaged by his son.
Pretty much.
It's that situation. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Like, that hurts so much more.
Yeah.
I'd rather you hate me, Dad. Just hate me for it.
Son, I hate you. Now fuck off.
Yeah, go down the store, get some of these nails, will you? I need some. So that's an even thing as well. He's just going back. It's literally a movie where a kid throws his dad out of a fucking tree. Some say in an accent. I believe it's fucking purpose. All right. Just what it. The evidence is there. Watch the film. All right. The evidence is there. The dad asks the kid to go down to get a pound of nails and ends up with 3 fucking books in a library where he gets knocked out and pretends he is in a cartoon. Now, I would recommend, if you like a bit of, the puff, the Mary Jane, okay? Watch this movie while you're high, and then come back to me and see if you like this film anymore. Guaranteed, a lot of people who are high off their heads watching this movie are like, whoa, don't know what to do. They'll feel like scared as fuck watching this film. I guarantee it. Well, it's a great film. I love it. It's so good. Do you know who else is in this movie?
What do you think? So
the pirates, okay?
Yeah.
One of the voices is Richard Picardo, who played the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager. Yes. And this was like a year before Star Trek Voyager became a thing. 2 years, sorry.
Interesting.
Yeah. So in my head, I'm like, are they going with Star Trek actors here? I don't know what's going on here. Because there's at least 4 actors in this movie that have... No, 4 actors who've been in Star Trek. Which says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, the cast was very Star Trek heavy, but that's not a bad thing.
No, it's really, really good. I will say as well, shout out to the animators of this side of the film. They were veterans from the production, such as An American Tale.
And A Land Before Time.
And Land Before Time as well. Classic. really, really good animated. Do you know what? I've seen Land Before Time. I don't think I've ever seen American Tail.
Really?
I don't think so. I can't remember it. I know it's about a mouse, but that's about it as far as I can go.
Like, I remember watching both those at my nan's when I was a kid, like fucking years ago, and I really enjoyed both of them. And they're both like movies done by Don Bluth, who is a fantastic natural treasure in himself.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to watching those. And then
you'll definitely have a good time with those. Absolutely.
And then what was the other thing I looked at? Oh yeah, the music as well. The music of this movie is outstanding, and ironically, it wouldn't be a movie with Star Trek actors if it wasn't with a composer who did 3 of the original Star Trek films, which was the awesome James Horner from such movies as Titanic and Braveheart. You know, so the music. As soon as I hear the music, I was like, "This is James Horner, isn't it?" I was like, "This is James Horner." It's been good. It was good to watch this again because it's been on my mind for the last couple of weeks leading up to this episode. I'm like, I need to watch this film again because there was no way I was gonna do this episode without before watching this. And I very, very nearly swapped this episode for episode 21. All right, and then, but I've seen it. I'm glad now that that we've watched it. We've talked about it. What? Oh God, do you know what? As the guest, what should we rate this out of today? Because
okay, you know what? I think we could just rate it out of 100. Easy enough.
Okay. All right. So out of 100, what would you rate the Pagemaster?
Pagemaster. Oh, this is very tricky. Now, I enjoy the Pagemaster, and I will agree. I will honestly say that people do hate on this movie a bit too much, and I don't see the hate because compared to other movies at about a similar time, this one's nowhere near as bad. Like, I've honestly seen worse movies, which they seem to be like, oh, it's not as bad. Yeah. But Pagemaster in itself. Now, I enjoy this movie for the most part. I will say there's a couple of nitpicks, but only a few. I felt so, from what I understand, that this movie was essentially created as a way for Ted Turner to teach people to read, which noble concept in of itself.
It works. I'm pretty sure because there's a lot of like references to, especially the horror section.
Yeah, there's a lot of references in like different sections of like movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now I've heard a mixture of opinions in regards of with the literal characters they introduced, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Moby Dick, and the pirates. Some say they weren't given enough time and it felt kind of like brushed through.
Yeah, it was like a little bit. Yeah.
Which, understandable. Maybe a little bit more time, just a small bit to learn a bit about them, I guess. But other than that, I didn't think this was bad. Like, a lot of the actors played their roles pretty well. Macaulay Culkin played their role pretty well. Christopher Lloyd, as creepy as fuck as he was, fantastic job. Patrick Stewart and Whoopi Goldberg were having the time of their fucking life with these roles, and
you can tell.
Shows in tenfold. Absolutely. Leonard Nimoy, fantastic job. And probably the first time I ever knew of him playing a villain / monster to an extent.
Joe's actually quite funny. I read this now. Leonard Nimoy and Frank Welker, right, didn't perform again with each other until 17 years later, where they played as Megatron and Galvatron in Transformers.
Nice.
And in I think it's Revenge. No, sorry, Dark Side of the Moon.
Ooh.
So
okay.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Moon was when they were in last because Leonard Nimoy played Galvatron in the Yeah, no, 17 years. Yeah, in Transformers films because Milka was playing Starscream. I think I was playing somebody in that Transformers film, but he wasn't playing Megatron. He was playing
Yeah.
somebody else because
So
they brought Hugo Weaving in to play Megatron in that film.
oh yeah, Hugo Weaving was that. So from what I'm looking here, Frank Welker did the voice for Shockwave and Soundwave.
There you go. Yeah, that's it.
So those were the guys that they brought him in.
And then Len and Emo played Galvatron.
Yeah.
Was it Galvatron or was it
Sentinel Prime.
Sentinel Prime? That's the one. My bad.
Yeah. That's
Transformers fans are like, "You're wrong." I'm like, "I know. I can't remember. I need to watch the Transformers films again."
Mm.
But 100. So out of 100, we're going on a tangent.
Out of
again.
100. Okay, right.
We love these tangents. You all love these tangents as well. We know this.
Yeah, it's fine. So out of 100, I would probably rate the Pagemaster. I would say I'll give it an 86 out of 100. I felt
86 out of 100.
Like I said, it's a really good movie. There was just a little nitpicks here and there which knock it down a little bit, but I still think 86 is still a really good score for it.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen this movie, give it a watch.
Definitely.
I would say.
For me, 89.
Yeah, that's fair.
89. I'd give this
That's
a rating
fair.
of 100. A couple of naughty points. This movie could have been a bit longer.
Yeah,
I think give it an extra 15 minutes, then it would be perfect. I think an hour and 15 is a lot to cram in.
Yeah, especially when you got like you said, the 3 different sort of like arcs of like Dr. Jekyll was the Hyde, Moby Dick, the pirates, and then the climax with the dragon. I felt you're gonna need a bit more time just to flesh those out a little bit. Not enough to make them the focus, because they weren't the focus. The focus is the boy. The boy is the focus, understandable. His journey to the library and then being sucked into this world. Obviously, I felt because it's such a big sort of like world, he's kind of been sucked in. I'd say a bit more time just to flesh that out a bit more would be perfect for that. And I think that's the only real nitpick I'd probably give the movie.
Yeah, I would have said that as well. And then so that's a point off that for having a little extra time. And then I knocked 10 points off because the kid nearly tried to kill his dad at the start of the film. So I'm like, fuck you.
I mean, at first, at first the kid wasn't that well likable, but then he grew on him a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did kind of felt sorry for him because the kids were bullying him because of the way he was. I mean, that's quite relatable to everybody here.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to it somewhat. I know a load of kids that were like that as well, where they're not that well sociable and stuff like that, and they would always get picked on being like, "Fucking socialise, you cunt." It's just like it's not that easy though.
No, it's not that easy at all.
It really isn't.
But it is the way of the world, and now these days, being a nerd and being a geek is actually a turn on for people. So that's really handled. So fuck you, everybody. Welcome to the nerd. Welcome to the nerd. You just taking over the world. It's brilliant.
No.
Bro, thank you very much for coming on this episode. I do appreciate that.
Pleasure as always.
Let people know what you do getting up to and where they can find you.
So lately, I've just been busy with like a load of like wrestling shows coming up. I tend to get stupid busy in the summer as it is. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. But
summertime.
Indeed. So if you want to catch up with like any updates regarding like wrestling schedule and stuff like that, you've got at Clarence Sassy on Instagram and Twitter. You've got Sassy by Clarence on Facebook. You can even see Sassy by Clarence on TikTok, where it'll be a mixture of just like wrestling content and just random comedy shit on there as well, just because. But you will also find me over on Twitch at Sassy by Clarence, where I will stream a mixture of retro games, and I'll also be doing some art streams as well. So I've kind of been rekindled my old love of art. So I do a bit of digital art on the side. And so, yeah, I usually stream like a lot of art just because.
On the description, Sassy's links will all be in the description below of this episode when it gets out. Dude, thank you very much for coming on. I probably won't see you now till I think I've got all 53 episodes out ready so far. So I think the next one you and I together is episode 25, which is going to be a fucking good one. And then you and I are going to be doing 3 episodes on the bounce then in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be
Wait, 3 episodes on what again?
3 episodes on the bounce. So a little peek ahead of time. The next time you catch Sassy Bear on the podcast, we'll be talking Romeo and Juliet, the live action one,
yes.
Men in Black, Futurama season 1, and The Predator, the first Predator film. So
nice.
And he's already marked down for that Commando movie episode, so which we're gonna talk about, and Doom as well.
Oh, I'm looking forward to talking about all those.
Oh, can't wait. All right, dude, have a good one.
You too.
And that's it, everybody. That was episode 19. Thank you to my buddy Aaron, aka Sassy Bear Clarence, for joining me on this podcast. Don't forget, we're here each and every week. You could catch us on our social medias at Instagram. On Instagram, I will get this right eventually. Think of 19 episodes in, I get this fucking right by now, wouldn't you? You could check us out on our social medias at the Multiverse of Entertainment Pod on Instagram, Mo Podcast on TikTok. Don't miss every week where a new clip of a new episode gets dropped. We're dropped every Monday on any podcast subscriber or outlet that you can find us. You can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and even on Amazon Music. Check us out right now. Follow us there. Don't miss anything. And I am close as well to sorting out a new YouTube channel. Things are coming soon. Almost there now. I will announce it in the coming days as well. And next week is episode 20. And this one is going to be a fun one. We're running solo podcasts for the next couple of weeks. And episode 20 is going to be a fun one. We're talking about Family Guy season 1. So until next week, guys, have a good one. See you then, and stay nerdy and have some fun. Here we go. Let's rock out.